Welcome, Michael Klonsky.
Mike and Tom.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Michael. How you doing?
I'm good, brother.
Just had my great breakfast to get me started here at the
You already
Heartland
did that,
Cafe.
did you?
Yeah, I had the pancakes and
How come you didn't bring the new grandchild with you?
she's probably fast asleep right now.
She's a little young.
Congratulations to you and
also,
Susan
they haven't
for
gotten much sleep lately.
being
Yes,
new grandparents
congratulations,
again.
you guys.
Thank you.
So there was a pretty gripping video that came out last weekend, Sunday night, I believe, of what I saw as nonviolent protesters being attacked by armed police and National Guard and loaned police from other cities, including right nearby Michigan City, Indiana, trying to keep this pipeline
Every county
going
in
through.
Indiana. Every county in Indiana.
Thank
sent
you, Vice
people.
President-elect Pence.
I looked at that picture and it looked to me like the invasion of Normandy or something like this, you know, and
It's surrealistic.
it's surrealistic. Yes.
I wish it were surrealistic. It's real,
Yes.
and people were hurt, and it's going backwards in time. These are the things that drove me as a 13-year-old or 14-year-old when I saw, fire hoses being let loose on Sunday go-to-meeting people walking peacefully down the sidewalk in their own town.
Yes.
And this is back. I'm sorry. I'm
Well,
appalled.
actually, it's never left, Katie. This is a part of our history, unfortunately, that hasn't changed, and now the prospects are that it's going to get worse. And it was exactly these images of people turning dogs on the protesters,
Right.
and now fire hoses that got my wife Susan and I to get off our ass and get in the car and drive up to Standing Rock the first time with goods and food and things like that.
No, you're just back. You've just been out there again.
Now back from my second trip, where I took two van loads of high school students from around Chicago, and they had the most incredible
Wow.
experience up there.
Wow.
You were talking about education, which of course is dear to my heart, being an educator myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been my philosophy that the out-of-school education is more compelling than what happens in the classroom. And it certainly was for these young people. That they were able to connect their own work here in Chicago, where they've been fighting against displacement and what's going on in the community around Logan Square, with the displacement that they've seen with the Standing Rock Sioux in North Dakota. So for us, this was really closely connected with our work in education, as well as in defense of the Standing Rock people and the fight against the pipeline.
Can you explain quickly what this pipeline is about and how we got to this point? For those who haven't been paying attention, and the media is just starting to pay attention to this story, which has been going on for some time.
Well, it's really part of a much bigger struggle around saving our environment, and moving from reliance on oil and fossil fuels to more environmental friendly kinds of energy. But in this particular case, it's also a question of environmental racism, because when they started building this pipeline, which brings shale oil, up from North Dakota down to Illinois, really not too far from here. The pipeline was originally supposed to go through Bismarck, which is a town that is 95% white.
And to the north of Standing Rock Reservation.
Yeah, to the north, about 50 miles north of Standing Rock Reservation.
And somebody said, "Not in my backyard,"
And
right?
somebody said, the white folks in Bismarck said, "Not in my backyard." So they, they got they had power in their voice, of course, because of who they were, and the plan for the pipeline was moved down to the Standing Rock Reservation, and that's when this all began. The pipeline is planned to go under go under river some 40 times. It is destroying historic burial sites of the Sioux. So.
It goes under both the Missouri and the Mississippi.
Yes, several times.
The cartography article you sent, Tom sent us an article that appeared in Huffington Post. I don't know if you saw it about the map drawing and what was fascinating about that. I wanted to copy it, it wouldn't print, but that the tribal maps are south up.
Yes.
South up and north down. We have to change our heads about this. We have to wrap ourselves around the notion that these guys are really saving water right now for the future generations, and if we care, we better get off our butts.
We had a treaty too.
Right.
Yes, we have a treaty too.
What is a treaty good for except to break, I guess?
Yes. So number one, this pipeline threatens the drinking water of an estimated 90 million people.
90 million.
There's leaks going on in pipelines almost every day. And a few weeks ago we had a massive one in the east. And so it's not a matter of whether the pipeline will leak or not, but when and how bad.
And how bad.
Yes. So
there was a massive one in British Columbia this week.
Let me ask you, Mike, why do you think there's been such a heavy opposition or just this militarization of the forces that people are standing up against? I mean, it really is turning into be quite a military thing. You've got police departments from all over the country sending people. And, we had a situation with a concussion grenade that wounded the arm of Sophia Wilansky. Plenty of people standing out there covered with ice as they're protesting.
They're organizing sheriff departments all over the country to send deputies up there. They're coming up there with a chance. This is a chance to experiment, to
do things out of the eye of the cameras of the neighborhood people with their phones.
Even in front of the cameras. This started at Ferguson. Using this kind of militarized force, remilitarizing police departments, using federal armaments, tanks, water cannons, shooting people with rubber bullets. This is about planning future crowd control efforts, and this is what we're in for. I mean, you can say, well, they're doing this to the Native Americans, but this is what all of our police departments are preparing for. As the economic conditions get worse in this country, they're expecting resistance, and they're trying to figure out the best ways of doing resistance. The other thing is that this county sheriff up there is a madman. I mean, he's a racist madman. The governor of North Dakota, pretty much the same thing. And so they're unleashing, this brutal, naked power, violent power against nonviolent protesters, and hoping to, and they're doing it all at the service of these banks,
of these oil guys,
and there's oil guys.
Ironically, using disaster relief funds to pay for it.
Yes.
So the next time the Missouri floods and we send all our money up there to help folks, that money's currently being used to arm the police forces that are being aligned against the demonstrators.
Yeah, and what really bothers me is, I mean, I expect this from the Trumpian forces, but what really bothers me is that the Democrats have been silent on this.
Yeah, what is with Obama? What's he done, said?
The big question, because he did say he thought something was going to happen around it, but we haven't seen it yet.
Well, now, I mean, he has done a little to delay the...
yeah, we reported that was a couple months back.
Yes,
right.
To delay, but the Dakota Access Pipeline Company has told Obama, go screw yourself. We got Trump coming in a couple of months. We don't care what you say. We're moving right ahead with the pipeline. And but also the Democrats' political campaign, Clinton's campaign, was largely funded by the same banks and donors that are financing the pipeline.
And the senator of North Dakota is a Democrat too. One of the senators, Heidi, I don't know her last name.
Yes, but the governor is definitely not. He's a Trump
No, I know that.
Republican and a kind of a vicious
Yeah, I
guy.
thought the message I left on his phone would convince him to stop all hostilities.
You called him.
I did. I called him. I left a message. I encourage all of you to call North Dakota. I also, if you have a interest in Indiana, like say you have a home there that you go to and enjoy,
Or Iowa, yeah.
you know, I would say boycott. Boycott.
Well, what about Michigan City? Is that a tourist destination for Chicagoans?
Totally.
I think Michigan City could be a good target.
Well,
Well,
this is another thing. Which I didn't mention. It's about the politics of water as well.
Yeah.
And when you talk about Michigan, I mean, this is the same struggle that's happening in Flint, and it shocked me to see that the Republicans were able to take Michigan, you know, with
By 12,000 votes, maybe.
We'll see if they actually did. It's not done yet.
but I mean,
But to
considering
take as
what's
much
going
as
on
they
in
did,
Michigan,
yeah.
what the Republicans are doing in Michigan, and to have, you know, so I see this, and what's going on with the lead in our own water here in the
Right.
schools, all connected to what's going on with DAPL and in North Dakota.
And just to mention, in a very similar vein, one of Katie's pet peeves, the pipeline that's 60 years old, and we're just waiting for an accident to happen that goes under the Straits of Mackinac, which would affect the whole Great Lakes region's drinking water, theoretically.
Yep.
Mike, what do you see as the next steps in this? Given you have Trump coming in, given that you have Republican-dominated governments in various states, and you have police departments sending guys to experiment up here in North Dakota, what do you think are the next steps, and what should people do?
There's actually, I hate to say this on the radio, so don't quote me, but I think there's a good side to Trump coming in. I think he's getting people who are kind of complacent off their rear ends. We got 100 veterans on their way up to Standing Rock now to come up and support. To come up and support the tribes. The AFL-CIO has sided with the companies here on this.
Oh, I've had it.
And now a lot of rank and file unions are breaking with them.
Good.
We just had a group of teachers from the New York Teachers Union arrive yesterday at Standing Rock, and there's other. SEIU had a group from New Jersey. They called me and told me that they were on their way up 2 weeks ago, and they're staying there permanently through the winter. A lot of them.
Where do people need to look to get the correct, the most up to date, and the most useful information about stopping the pipeline and helping the protests?
Well, you can go if you're on Twitter. You just go on hashtag no DAPL, no DAPL, and you'll find minute by minute reporting. If you're on Facebook, Standing Rock has a Facebook page.
There are many actually.
And it's really on the internet. It's not hard to get information. And now even I think as the violence increases, the mainstream press is suddenly interested. You know, when I was up there, right after they unleashed the dogs on people, all of a sudden, New York Times, Washington Post reporters were up there because the violence is what attracts them.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah,
Yes.
the PBS NewsHour has been running pretty regular stuff.
Yeah, and also you can check my blog and my Facebook. If you Google me on Facebook, Michael Klonsky, at Blogspot, you can see my Small Talk blog, which is really about education. But like I said, this is about education. You know, these kids who went up with us on the last trip, these Chicago kids, it was a life-changing experience for them.
I'm sure.
Mike, on a related note, many people will know the name Leonard Peltier,
Yes.
who has been incarcerated since the last great Indian uprisings back in the 70s. And I'm just throwing out to you, do you think there's any chance that Obama will pardon Leonard?
Well, I don't know what the chances are, but I think we should be demanding it of him. Leonard just wrote a beautiful piece, which you can get online, talking about the meaning for him after all these years of this Standing Rock revolt. It's like it's made his life have meaning.
Yeah.
He's been in jail a long time.
He's been in jail a long time.
For a crime he didn't commit.
Yes, and so we have to get Leonard Peltier free, And we have to keep putting pressure on Obama to do something in his last 2 months to intervene. I'm not holding my breath, but we still have to keep the pressure up. And then we have to resist when Trump comes in. Resist, resist, resist.
Yeah, yeah. So folks can go on.
Boycott sugar beets.
I don't think anybody understands
Well,
what
the
you're
sugar
saying.
beets is a big crop in North Dakota. It used to be. American history, Platt Amendment, et cetera, et cetera.
We've got to resist, and we got to do everything we can to support our brothers and sisters up there in Standing Rock.
May I suggest for folks that do Christmas gifts, talk to your family, talk to your people about doing Christmas gifts of gas cards and other help to Standing Rock encampment instead of feeding the ugly machine.
And I've had a lot of people asking me, how can I get? I have a lot of blankets, I have a lot of rope, I have a lot of batteries. I'd like to send up there. How do I do it? And it's been very difficult to hook up the donors with people driving up. So my suggestion to Tom, why don't we use the Heartland Cafe as a place, a drop-off point, and then people traveling up could pick up stuff right here.
Because
That's
there's nothing he'd rather more than a bunch of
Tom just gave the thumbs up to
Tom
that
said
idea.
thumbs
So
up
when
to
do
that.
you want people to start bringing their stuff, Tom, and where do you want them to drop it?
Anyway, maybe you could announce it at your next show.
Bring it right into the Heartland.
Thank you, Tom. That's
Bless
beautiful.
your heart.
All right.
Before we
Bless
let you
your
go, Mike, we didn't mention this in the opening, but wonder if you have any thoughts on the passing of Fidel Castro.
Oh man, I do. And of course,
That just happened today?
Yeah, he just passed
I don't know how
away.
much time we have on that one, but
A minute.
when I saw the news early this morning, it made me think back to 1960 when Fidel came to Harlem.
Oh, I love that.
And he was staying in Midtown at some fancy hotel.
They went to Teresa Hotel.
Yeah, but he didn't like that. So then he moved over to the Hotel Teresa, which is a black-owned small hotel in Harlem, which only catered to black people. At that time in 1960, black people couldn't stay in the nice hotels uptown, so downtown, I should say. So there he met with Malcolm X, and black people in Harlem turned out to cheer him and welcome him, because aside from what was going on in Cuba, the symbolism of the connection of the third world struggle for independence and anti-colonialism and the black struggle in the United States became very clear. Yeah.
The closest I ever got to Fidel was during the Pan American Games in '91 on my first visit to Cuba, and the word was Fidel was at various venues doing the wave, with a lot of people. So we were actually running around from venue to venue trying to catch up with him, but we didn't.
Over the years, I've had my issues with Fidel too. I helped organize the first trip in 1968 of the Venceremos Brigade, but then when Cuba became kind of a satellite of the Soviets, it kind of pissed me off a little bit, because I thought independence means independence.
Yeah.
But now looking at things historically, I'm really happy to see the openings that are being made.
He was a crucial guy.
Yeah,
he made a lot of openings for.
And I brought a lot
people.
of teachers there to look at the schools, which are, some of the best schools in the Caribbean.
And I want to thank Stormy Brown Libman, for doing her part. She went down and was part of the Venceremos long before she helped start the Heartland. So